So when the bad guys, or however you want to describe them, the enemy, when they started pushing south, Hue was one of the first places. And in 68, there was a huge bloodbath in what was called Tet, T-E-T, that's the Lunar New Year. And Tet of 68 saw a lot of civilians killed in Hue.
Late on January 30th, 1968, the North Vietnamese launch an offensive into southern Vietnam, attacking over 100 cities and towns, and even managing to have a squad of soldiers capture the U.S. Embassy in Saigon for 6 days before they are killed. The fighting is especially intense just 50 miles from the border, in the city of Hue. Hue is an important supply line for the South Vietnamese and the U.S. forces, with a major highway passing through it. Also, there is a large supply port for the U.S. on the Perfume River, which runs through the city. For 26 days, the Viet Cong and the People's Army of Vietnam held the city before finally being ousted by U.S. Marines and the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. When they took back the city, they discovered that mass civilian executions had taken place. In total, 2,800 bodies were found, and 3,000 civilians were missing. Humanitarian Jean Tunnell is in Hue when the North Vietnamese begin pushing towards it once again in 1975.
There were a number of Vietnamese in there with us that had been co-workers, interpreters, whatever. And I'm going to say about 5 o'clock on Good Friday morning, they told all these Vietnamese folks to pick up your stuff and get ready to leave. Of course, they did, and the gates opened, and there was all these Deuce and big military trucks came up. They all got on and off they went. We're going down the river toward the harbor, and I've never seen such a sight in my life. It was still foggy, but you could see the bank on each side, and it was just lined with people that were looking for a way out. So we got out into the harbor, and there was an American freighter. So here comes this ocean-going barge, and it ties up next to us. And there are so many people on this thing, literally, you cannot see the deck. All you see is humanity. And when they get up to the top, you guys have got to tell them and show them that they've got to go down in the hole. Okay, so you can imagine 99.9% of these people have never been on a ship. And that same percentage certainly have never had to go down inside the bowels of the ship. And what was happening was, as soon as a little space was created on that barge, here these small boats would come with more people. It's hot down there in those holes, and there's no water. But fortunately, this ship has one of those, and I don't even know what you call them, but anyway, one of these machines that can convert salt water into potable water. The skipper communicates to some of these Marines, okay, we got some hoses, we got some barrels down there in the holes, we need to get these hoses down into there so these people got some water. So one of those Marines comes to me and says, okay, dude, here, take this hose, you can talk to them, so forth. So I'm walking down the deck pulling this hose, and all of a sudden the hose doesn't pull anymore. And I look back, And these are some of the most desperate people I've ever seen in my life. There were people down on all fours, holding onto that hose, literally trying to bite into it with their teeth to get some water. And the sad thing was, we did lose some people because we sailed from Da Nang down to Cam Ranh Bay, which was another big installation. And it took all night, and we lost some people, dehydration and that sort of thing. But anyway, when it was all said and done, there's about 5,000 refugees on that boat.